Hi guys, and welcome to this episode of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia and I'm coming to you from the UK, and today is Tuesday, the 22nd of April 2025. If you do celebrate Easter, then happy Easter. It's been a long time since I recorded because we've been on holiday, which I'll talk about later. And we came back on Easter Sunday, did a little bit of like Easter bunny stuff yesterday, and then today my son has just gone back to school, but because I work for a university I still have today off, which is great. So I thought I'd catch you up on what I've been working on, mostly over our holiday. So there should be quite a few new works in progress and finished objects that you haven't seen before. If you're watching for the first time, then welcome. I really hope you do enjoy this podcast, and if you're coming back, thank you so much for sticking around. So, should we talk about some knitting? First up, let's talk about the one project I finished before we went away, which this is my husband's socks. And I will say today is insanely bright outside. So I'm not sure what the colors are going to do, but trust me when I say these are pretty sort of neon green socks that I made for my husband Kai. They're just plain vanilla stockinette socks on 68 stitches. And this is a German sock yarn. This is Das Mondschaf in the Heisenberg colorway, which I believe was a club, like a Breaking Bad club, that my lovely friend Marion sent me a while ago. And I'm slowly turning most of these into socks for my husband, both because he loves like this kind of color, and because, I mean, we both love Breaking Bad, but he's a proper Breaking Bad fan, so it just makes sense. Although I have also named these his steak socks because we are very much into F1 in this family and he loves the steak team, and I think this matches the steak, especially the steak last season in terms of the color. So yeah, I finished these socks before we went away, one less whip to worry about. And then I have knitted 2 pairs of socks on our trip. So the first pair that I finished, this is going to be a pair of gift socks. And look at this super funky pooling. This is yarn that I had in stash for, I don't know, at least 6 years, probably more than that, could have well been 8 years. I'll show you the label in a second. But it's got this crazy sort of variegation, and I love that it actually pooled rather than like done the stripy thing. I think it actually looks really fun. I know some people hate these kinds of socks. I personally think they're fun. And I made these for a gift for my mother-in-law. So these are a 60 stitch sock. I probably should have done a 56 stitch one for her, but I just started them as gift socks and then decided later that these would be for her, but they should be fine. So they went a little bit quicker because it's a shorter foot. She has tiny feet. So I think this should be like an EU size 36, 37. And yeah, I made them pool, and the only sort of interruption I made with the heel was after I finished turning the heel, I sort of made sure to pull a little bit of the yarn so the pooling would sort of continue. But these are just crazy anyways. I call them my dragon fruit socks because I think they look like a dragon fruit in terms of the color. And the yarn for this is Fernerwolle, which is an Austrian brand of yarn that I still really like. I used to be quite obsessed with them, which is why I have a fair bit of this yarn in my stash from like 10 to 8 years ago, which is crazy. So this is an Austrian yarn, Fernerwolle Karussell. I am guessing this is super old in terms of the colorway. It says number 18 and it's a 75/25 base. And I've just found that this base holds up really, really well, so I really like it. So yeah, 1 pair of gift socks for my mother-in-law, 1 pair of socks for my husband. So of course I also had to make some socks for me. So I made this pair of socks as well, and I promise this is at least the last pair of socks in terms of finished objects. There will be some more socks later because socks and traveling just work so well. These are self-striping socks that clearly don't match, which I think is really fun. And this is because I used 50 grams of Fab Funky fibers, and once again, a while ago I got a couple of her colorways on like a lucky dip. So you just basically get what you get, and I ordered the 50-gram balls, which I think were like £12-ish. And if I really stretch them out and use sort of contrasting cuffs and heels and toes, I can still get a full pair of socks out of 50 grams of self-strapping, which makes me really happy, especially because I have quite large feet. The only downside is because I use every bit of the yarn that I have is they won't match, but I really don't care. And I think these are so fun. You can probably find them on her website. I just don't know the colorway name. I'm not sure if it even came with one. But isn't it just the perfect sort of holiday poolside colorway? I think they're so pretty. And for the heels, cuffs, and toes, I used the Filcolana Aweta that I used for my son's school socks, if you want to call them that. And yeah, these are bringing me so much joy. I can't wait to wear them. I think I almost made them a bit too long, but I think they should be okay. And if not, I'll just rip back the toe, but I think they should be fine. And yeah, so 3 finished pairs of socks, which is very exciting. And also obviously get some yarn out of stash, which is a good thing. The only other thing that I finished while on holiday is my tiny Italian scarf. I think it's called the Italian summer scarf, which is a free pattern on Ravelry. And as you can tell, this has not been blocked. This has been scrunched into a suitcase. But yeah, it's just one of those tiny scarves. I'm not sure. I think I need to block it, so it's sort of, I think I'm gonna give it a proper good block, but it could be cute. So you could either wear it this way, or what I might do, I always find these hard to style. I don't think they look particularly good on me, but my friend made me a Sophie scarf, and I have been wearing it at home sometimes because I think it's actually really comfortable. Like, I think it looks, this is just my opinion, I think it looks a bit silly, but sometimes you just need that little bit. And I tend to wear a lot of black at the office, and my office tends to be freezing, or in summer, like you go in, it's really warm, then they turn the aircon on at 10, it gets really cold, and then at 12 they turn it off again. So yeah, I made an Italian summer scarf, free pattern on Ravelry. I made mine a little bit shorter. And the yarn I used is some alpaca nylon fluff from Hjertegarn, which I bought at Beautiful Knitters. And I don't know why, I bought 2 bowls. I don't have the leftovers with me right now, but I don't even think I used half of one bowl. But I bought this with my knitting colleague, so I'm thinking, because I think she likes this color as well, I might just give her the other bowl and maybe she might want to do something similar. So yeah, that is also done. And that lets us move on to works in progress. In terms of works in progress, I got home and immediately started working again on my Stripe Geometry shawl by Stephen West, if you remember that. And I worked on it most of yesterday, like most of my knitting time went into that. And then I looked at it and I suddenly hated it. So if you liked it, I'm really sorry, because I ripped out the whole thing last night. The yarn is back in balls, which is a little bit annoying. But yeah, I don't know. It was such a weird project. I cast it on such a whim. And I really, really enjoyed working on it. It made me really happy at the time. I was sort of binge watching Heartstopper while knitting on that, and I loved it. And all of a sudden I just didn't like the colors anymore. I wasn't happy with it at all, and honestly I feel really fine about frogging it. I'll use the yarn for something else, probably scrappy socks or maybe a blanket. The only cute thing was my son was so sad because he sort of heard me talk to my husband about, the colors, and I was going to rip it out, and he kept going, "Oh, but mommy, it is so beautiful." So I think I might have to make him some socks out of the yarn, especially the blues he really liked, because he thought they looked like the sea, which I do. So maybe I'll make him some seaside socks or something like that. Who knows? But yeah, I ripped that one out. But I have restarted another Stephen West shawl. So if you remember, a while ago, I fell in love with my colleague's Mohairino medley shawl, also by Stephen West, and I started one out of stash yarn. And I enjoyed it, but again, I didn't like the colors because I thought I could be sort of thrifty and use what I have, and the colors didn't really go. So I still have that upstairs with no needles in it. But eventually I bought yarn to reknit it. Sorry, crinkling. And the yarn I bought for it is from Beehive Yarns here in the UK. And I believe this is like a Halloween set. I think it was called Hocus Pocus or something like that. But I just really like the colors. It's on her sock base, I believe. Let's look it up. I don't know anymore. But yeah, I just got that 4 skein kit with the intention of making another Mohairino medley. Oh yeah, this is on her Bardot base, which is 80% merino, 20% nylon. So I got these 4 colors, and it's basically just been waiting for me to cast it on. And as you'll know, I've been on a bit of a short trip. So I just looked for some mohair that I had in stash, because I think you need 2 skeins of mohair. But I think I should be fine with 1. And this is also a leftover from yet another Stephen West shawl, from the glow hair shawl that I knit a while ago with all these colors of mohair. So I have all these single colors, and I think I should have enough. And if not, I have sort of similarly pink colors of mohair in my stash if I run out of this. So I started my second attempt at the Mohairino medley shawl on holiday. And this one I really like. I think this one is really fun. This is also more of my color scheme, and I love how that sort of rusty orangey brown goes with the purples. I think it's really, really cool. I was doubting it at this point because I think I should have chosen a darker mohair. My mohair is peachy pink, but it sort of reads very white. And so at this section, I was like, did I choose the wrong mohair? And if I had been at home, I probably would have picked a different one. But I was on holiday. I wasn't going to get another ball of mohair, and I just wanted to knit. So I kept going, and actually I think it looks really fun. And obviously throughout the shawl, you just sort of keep mixing different colors together. So I think the more I knit on this, the more it'll sort of all fade and work together. And yeah, this one, I'm really happy with this. In terms of modifications, it still looks really wide, but the original is even wider. So I did 1 less repeat. I think I cast on 32 stitches less. It's still really wide. I wonder if I could have even cut out another repeat, but it's fine. I think this will take me a while because I tend to underestimate these big wraps, how much time they take. Like, I'm using 4 balls of yarn and a ball of mohair, so this could be like a fingering weight sweater. Of course it's going to take a while, but I think it's quite fun, and yeah, I love the effect, so I'm going to persevere with this one. And yeah, very, very happy with my Mohairino medley shawl. The only other projects that I think I'll show you today are some socks that I also cast on while on holiday. I took a whole bunch of different yarn, including some yarn for some colorwork socks. So I had actually matched this sort of mini, which I believe is from Indie Yarn Club, and this skein of Arwetta Filcolana sock yarn a while ago to make some kind of colorwork socks. And I was thinking about doing the November socks from the Colorwork Cuff Club, which I've horribly just ignored the last couple of months, by Summer Lee Designs. So I brought this to make some colorwork socks. And then I stumbled across a pattern which I had sort of been seeing on Instagram as it was being test knitted for a long time. and decided to make that instead. And this is the 70s socks by Tina Rein, who is a German, I believe, sock designer. It's a German pattern. Although I would say, honestly, for a colorwork sock, mostly you just need the chart, right? The chart and the stitch count. So if you're confident at knitting socks and you like this design and the pattern sort of comes with different widths of these stripes and there's a whole sort of all over colorwork sock, there's different options. So if you just want to have the chart, I would say you can still make it even if you don't speak German. It's quite wordy, the instructions, but I just basically looked at the chart. And there's 3 different sizes, I believe. So what I did is I'm doing the medium size, which had a 72 stitch colorwork, I believe. So I cast on my usual amount of stitches, increased, did the colorwork, and then decreased again. And I think they're so fun, and these colors to me are a little bit like 70s as well. So yeah, these are my 70s socks, and I have just turned the heel, and you might be wondering, why are they on shorty socks, needles? Well, I have been flying with knitting for years and years and years and years. I've never had any issues. I usually take like sharp sock needles, and I've traveled to quite a few countries and no one has ever minded. And then on the way back from Greece, they're like, no, can't have knitting needles, it is not allowed. So the reason why I was quite annoyed about this was because I was just finished with the heels. So I was worried that like my double and triple stitches I might not be able to pick it up. Otherwise, like just pull out the needles, I'll pick them back up. It's not a big deal. But yeah, I was a little bit annoyed. But I had to give up my needles, which luckily I had 2 sock projects with me and 3 needles, but they only caught 1, so I only gave them 1. And luckily, I didn't take like my nice, shiny new higher sharps. There were just some Addy needles that I don't love that much, so I'm not really super sad about it. But yeah, so they took my needles. I had to rip the needles out of my knitting, and then very, very grumpily, luckily I had this backup tiny wooden needle, so I just picked up my stitches at the airport after security, and yeah, it's all fine. I just need to get a new needle, put this on a new needle, and then it will be fine. But yeah, that was my sock knitting adventure at the Rhodes airport. Yeah, but otherwise, I really love these. And like I said, the pattern sort of comes with different options. So I could see myself making it again, especially because this middle part of the color work is really, really simple, obviously. So I feel like it gives a cool effect without actually being very difficult. No idea what this mini is. It's a little bit variegated. I'm not sure how I feel about it. It might have looked better with a sort of solid color, but I think it looks fine. And this color is, I think it's called Red Squirrel. Color 352. So there you go. Oh, I have a downy needle in here as well, which they didn't want. So that's interesting. And lastly, luckily I had 2 knitting bags with me on the plane because I really did want to do some knitting on our flight. So I've been working on these socks. So these socks, I did a 2x2 rib at the top and then switched to a 3x1 rib. I just needed a little bit of a different rhythm because I've obviously been knitting a fair bit of socks. And then I just couldn't face doing another heel after having done 5 heels on holiday. So I decided for this one, I'm just going to do an afterthought heel. So for the back, I just at some point switched to plain stockinette. And this is where I was when we boarded our flight, which was a 4-hour flight. So this is how much I knit on the plane. So the first sock is almost done. I'm just sort of on the toe decreases. And then at some point, I'll just put in a afterthought heel. I haven't decided yet. I think they might be for me. I originally bought the yarn for Kai, but he doesn't like them and I do. So unless they're going to be a gift sock for someone else, which I haven't determined yet, they might be for me. So yeah, that is another sock, and it's another German sock yarn that I picked up when I was in Germany over Christmas. This is Woolly Hags Paint Socks. This is what the label looks like. The colorway is number 213. I knit a similar pair of socks out of sort of the same yarn in a different colorway earlier this year. So I'm really quite happy that I'm actually knitting through the yarn that I bought in Germany. And this is the sort of yarn where you get a ball, but then it has, I think, a white thread or something in the middle. So then you can just wind off until you get to that for the second sock and have 2 matching socks, which I think is neat. I don't really mind, but if there's the option, I think it is neat. So yeah, that is all the sock knitting I have done, which seems like a lot. And now that we're back, honestly, I kind of want to get back to garments for different reasons. Reason number one, this sweater is my first anchor sweater, which you can't really tell because it's very dark, out of JC Rennie, and this is my favorite sweater. This JC Rennie yarn, I've talked about it many times. JC Rennie is similar to like Woolly Knit and Host and all of those, but I think it's the nicest one. And I buy it in cones. They call it greasy cones. I don't find them greasy. I don't find them stinky. I just knit from the cone. And on the cone, it feels a little bit rough. And then as you wash and wear it, it just becomes beautifully soft. And I was wearing this for the first sort of 5 days of a holiday because it was really cold. We had some bad weather, although I think like people before us were even worse off. Like it was like proper raining and flooding and pretty horrible. Whereas when we got there, it was mostly sunny. It was just the first couple of days were quite cold. So I was wearing this a lot, all over roads, at the hotel, in the evening, even at the beach. I was wearing this, and I just realized how much I love this kind of sweater. Like the yarn is a fingering weight yarn, so it's light, but it's also 100% wool, so it's really like non-superwash, so it's really warm, it's cozy, and yeah, it just made me think about all the sweaters and all the JC Rennie, which I have a lot of. I may have bought some at an eBay auction because sometimes, I don't know why, here in the UK, you can get pretty good deals on eBay on JC Rennie yarns, just saying. I'm not casting anything on right now, but this has definitely sort of reinvigorated my sweater mojo. So since ripping back my shawl, I've been like trying to focus more on what I actually want to knit and want to wear. So I've gone back to this sweater, which is the Olga sweater by Petite Knit, which, as you will know, I am knitting out of 4 colors rather than 2. This is not a fingering weight. This is theoretically a sport weight. This is a Rauwerk yarn, which is from Germany, but I bought it here in the UK. It's a 300 meter per 100 gram sort of yarn, so it falls into the sport weight category. Although I would argue, to me, it almost feels like a DK, like this is a heavy sweater. But yeah, I've been working a bit on this. The jingly marker is where I picked it up, so I have made some progress on this, and I really want to get back to more sweaters, especially more fingering weight sweaters actually, but all kinds of sweaters. I think I've had enough garments, accessories. I'm still knitting a fair bit of like shawls and wraps and all of that, but yeah, my heart is just wanting some good old sweaters. So yeah, I think that's what I'll be working on today on my last day off before I have to go back to work. But yeah, so I just wanted to mention that very, very briefly. I need to try it on actually and see how much more I have to go on the body. I haven't really decided how long I want to make this. Like, I don't want to make it overly long. I also don't want it to be too cropped. It just needs to be that sort of perfect short sweater, but not cropped sweater, I would say. So yeah, I will try that on and see how that goes. And I have been working a little bit on my mum's cowl, which I've talked about many times, which she basically commissioned me to knit her at Christmas. So again, yarn that we purchased in Germany, it is being used, which is great. This is 100% man-made fibers because my mom cannot tolerate any wool of any kind. But considering that, I actually think it looks and feels quite nice. It feels a little bit heavy, but I'm quite happy with it. Sometimes I worry if it's too colorful. She did pick the colors with me, so she should be okay. I just hope she doesn't find it too like kids jumper. So let me know what you think, but hopefully it'll be okay. And my mom doesn't mind a bit of color, so I hope she'll be okay. And I think this is where I picked that up. So yeah, slowly making some progress. So yeah, as you can tell, lots of knitting projects are going on. I feel like I need to rein it in a little bit and focus on what I actually want to make and get some stuff off the needles. I think some of the socks, I'm just a little bit done with socks now. I might not rush to finish them because I'll finish them eventually. There's always commuting and F1, which is perfect for socks. But yeah, the cowl I need to finish by summer because I'll take that back to Germany when we go. I also need to knit a hat for my dad, which he very much commissioned at Christmas for his birthday, which is in July. But that I have the yarn for that, and it's quite thick yarn, so that should be like a one-day project. So yeah, all the projects, everything is going on. I also have another knitting project, another sweater project planned, but that's with sort of like DK to Aran weight yarn. So I'm not sure when I'll do that, but yeah, we'll see. And yeah, should I quickly, very, very briefly talk about the holiday, considering we've been recording for a long time, and I thought this would be a short episode? Okay, let's be very brief. If you're not interested in holiday talk, I will see you next week. If you do want to stick around, we went to Rhodes in Greece, which was our first time there. I think Kai had actually been to Rhodes as a teenager. I've been to Crete once as a teenager and the weather was horrible. So I was like, surely it can't happen twice. And it sort of did, but it wasn't too bad. It was basically like a beautiful beach holiday. And the first couple of days, it was just a little bit chilly, but we always knew going over Easter, like there is that risk. But it was fine. We only had one day where in the morning it rained quite badly. But then as soon as it stopped, we just did like a little like city trip, which was nice. And you don't need like high heats if you want to like be discovering like an old town. And I'm not a warm person anyways. I like anything over 20 degrees, I just get uncomfortable. So I don't know how I survived Australia for like almost a year when I was a teenager, but I think the older I get, the less I want to be warm. So yeah, we made do with the weather and the wind, and then eventually it just got really, really nice. And we even went in the sea, and it was lovely. And they had these little rock pools. Like the beach was, I think most of the beaches in Crete tend to be a bit more like rocky beaches, and we loved it. And my son loved it, and he was making all kinds of creations out of the rocks and the boulders and the sand, and like the water was really clear. So it was really, really lovely. Had loads of good food. I did a fair bit of knitting at the beach. Obviously, like the sights are beautiful. Like I just felt like I was in some kind of movie. It was crazy. So we had a really, really good time. And not gonna lie, coming back to the UK, which I think had been quite nice over Easter or like over the holidays. But as soon as we got back, it was like 12 degrees and rain. It's felt quite cold, but now we've sort of arrived again and the garden is looking good and yeah, just settling back in. So yeah, that's been our Easter holiday. So I'm a little bit sad that it's over, but it was really, really nice. And it was just nice to get away from everything and just spend loads and loads of time, just the three of us, sort of no interruptions, no work, no school, no dishwasher, no house falling apart, which is now catching up on us again because we still need to get something fixed, which is very annoying. But yeah, so that has been our trip. And like I said, today is my last day off. So I'm going to do as much knitting as I can during school hours. And yeah, then it's back to work and sort of real life tomorrow, which is a little bit scary, but we'll get there. Yeah, thank you so much for listening. I feel like this has been a long one. I know my podcast is usually much shorter than most other podcasts, so I think I'm allowed. But yeah, it feels long to me. I hope that wherever you are in the world, that you're healthy and safe and you're playing with some yarn. Do let me know what you're knitting or crocheting or stitching on. I always love to hear it. Thank you so much for watching. Happy knitting and bye.